Hi, my name is Paul Shore, and you're watching The Street Speaks, a spontaneous speaker's corner for Montrealers, where I give you and your neighbors an unfiltered platform to express yourselves about anything in particular. Nothing is off limits. This week, Montrealers are speaking out about the far too many stereotypes too many of us have towards First Nations. They're raving about what new technologies are affording them, and they're celebrating how Montreal is truly one of the world's last bohemias. Also, I've invited local comic Jess Solomon back up onto the Street Speaks soapbox, and a little ahead, the endlessly grooving, the ever-reliable Street Speaks band, Skinny Bros. I want to know, what are some of the common stereotypes that people have about Native people?
Oh, that we don't pay taxes.
I get a lot of like, well, you know, do you live in a teepee? I still get that.
That we drink.
Oh gosh. Well, that we all drink, that we're abusive.
You know, do you live in a teepee? Do you live in an igloo?
Last year I was invited into a school because a teacher overheard her grade 3 and 4 students say, "Oh, there's no more Indians, they're all dead."
I was just at a festival and someone said to us, "I found a dream catcher in my basement. Does that make me an Indian?"
She heard that and she went to go look, and she found me, and I came to talk to her at her school, and they were amazed that we were still alive. That, if we get that, if we fix that, if we just start with mandatory history, the true history.
So learning about residential school. You know, residential schools happened, you know, in the 1700s.
When the business boys came over here and took over the country, stole all his people, stole their land, took it right from under them, made promises, signed declarations, broke them all.
People don't understand that, you know, that's like generations of assimilation.
Taking out of their livelihood, which lasted thousands of bloody years. They were doing fine, thank you very much.
Residential school, the 60s scoop, 500 years of, every oppression and the Indian Act, and so people really understand who we are.
There's no idea. There's such a negation of the Aboriginal experience.
And have Native teachers doing it, and have people talk to, and from like little, because those kids are going to be growing up, and they're going to be able to educate their family and their friends who didn't grow up with that understanding. So that my 4-year-old is not sitting next to a 4-year-old who thinks that her mother's dead because she's Native.
But I mean, like, my kids go to Hampstead, right? They're the only Aboriginal kids in Hampstead, right?
Hampstead School?
Yes. Well, what's really funny is that my kids have an Aboriginal a tutor. And I'm like, that's so cool. What nation is she? She's white. What do you mean? Well, she's just the one who works with the Aboriginal kids. I'm like, oh, how many kids does she have? Just yours. I'm like, oh.
Oh, right.
Different ways of having dialogue is the only way that we can break down stereotypes, because unless we understand each other, there's no openness.
Well, one of the main things that people can do as far as Natives go is not look at media and not look at anything like that, and actually get like this. This is a perfect opportunity. Get in here and actually mingle with us. Ask us questions one-on-one.
It's education. For me, it's, what we can do as Aboriginal people is teach people. Yes, we're angry. Yes, we're sad. Yes, we're a lot of pain. But if we get stuck there, we're only going to perpetuate their stereotype.
Don't rely on the media, because the media is going to give you whatever twist they want, right? I mean, so get in there and come here and speak to us.
Let's all welcome back to the show the incredibly talented local comic, Jess Solomon.
There's internet on the plane now. Internet on the plane. The plane was the last place where I read books and I talked to people. It was my iPhone rehab. Now it's like, why would I talk to this guy next to me when I could just live tweet stuff I've made up about him? It's so much better. So obviously I run out of battery on my phone, and when we land at Dorval, instead of going home where I have plugs and I have privacy, I start scanning the floorboards of the airport wall like I'm looking for meth in my carpet. And I find a plug, right, but it's really low down, and that iPhone cord is short because it's made in China. So I'm just bent over like this, watching the green bar grow, the anxiety just dripping away, but at the same time realizing that this is not the position of someone that's in control of their life. I don't know if they've come out with a PSA for internet addiction, but I'd like to offer this up as a rock bottom moment. There was this moment and the time that I read about a deacon from Montreal that got arrested for child porn, and I was jealous of this guy because the terms of his bail were A, he was prohibited from being on the internet, and B, prohibited from being around children, and I was like, how do I get those two things without the stigma of the child porn charges? That's what I want.
I guess the positive thing about having a smartphone is that I can look absolutely anything up at any time, and being someone who asks a lot of questions, I love having all that information at my fingertips. I think that is really important to me.
Oh man, one of the biggest things that I hate now is you know when you go to a bar with your friends and like you kind of had to like work through conversations, or like you'd have discussions and you know, you disagreements, but now with like Google, like, oh, how old is this person, or when did this happen? Now just someone pulls it out and they're like, oh, it happened in 1974. I'm like, that sucks. Like, I love the banter and the conversation that would like come out of not having immediate answers.
No, it's not making my life any easier. What it's doing is it's very revelatory, because I can see and hear the power of the people getting together and being united. You know, it's a two-sided coin, or with two-edged sword. Double-edged sword. Anyway, whatever. We can't stop it. It's here. I'm trying to deal with it as best I can, coming from an analog bloody world, you know.
My challenge would go to the educators. How do you actually train young people from a very young age how to think through a flood of information? It's not even a flood, it's like a tsunami of information. And I really, really, really wish that my generation, actually every citizen, will be trained how to sift through all that thing.
It's a tool. All the electronics is a tool. Think about it. People are being in touch with each other now by the thousands. All over the world. People are organizing. There's information out there coming out of your yin-yang. But it's all to the good, because it's going to help the progress. It's going to help the change.
I feel that we actually run a danger of numbing people up. Numbing people up to any radar they might have of some unseemly content, some hateful messages that may actually be today on the rise. We feel that people are so intolerant today, but we seem not to pinpoint where all of that is coming from. But guess what?
Because of the Twitter effect, and because of people can get really scared by small events that don't reoccur. The mean mule syndrome has become amplified by technology. It existed in like Law and Order. You know, people used to stay at home, watch Law and Order, used to think that there was a murder and a rape around your block every night, and you used to clutch your purse whenever you saw somebody who you didn't identify with, or you didn't realize where they were coming from.
I'm very proud to welcome back to the show the ever-eclectic Street Speaks band, Skinny Bros. Where did it come from? I don't know more.
Well, yeah, geez. You know what? I'm not sure of the actual. I was told that it actually came from a phrase that was used by a native in reference to not sitting on our hands anymore and being proactive and that sort of thing, that whole movement thing.
The Montreal Urban Aboriginal Community Strategy Network. So what it was is an initiative where different people that are Aboriginal name the issues that are facing your people and in what type of theme. So people really kind of branched out and they started doing concrete steps to have solutions. So for instance, I work very closely with Batshaw. My experience in adoption wasn't great. So I make sure that the next generation doesn't have what I went through.
And what does the movement mean to you?
Like I said, it's all about unity. It's putting aside different nations, different beliefs, because a lot of people think that, well, they don't do it this way, they don't do it the right way. There can be a lot of sniping between nations. I don't know more. It brings it all together. It's like, okay, well, let's just worry about the government dealing with native issues, because if we don't speak with one voice at least, or as much as a unified voice as we can, then they're not going to listen to us.
The level of depression, suicide in some communities, the level of the numbers of children living in care.
So we created a manual for adoptive parents that are going to take native kids. It's kind of like, how to bring up your child in a good way, how to retain their culture. My parents told me, oh yeah, native people, when you grow up, you're going to be a drug addict and prostitute, because that's what your people are.
Is there an emphasis on education, or is it something that's lacking?
Well, it is unfortunately lacking. We have one of our performers tonight. His whole story is that they came south for a better education because his family was worried about the education that he was getting up north.
Instead, I have all different artists and musicians and reporters and hockey players, all these famous people that are First Nations, so that the parents can tell their children, wow, one day you can be like a Carla Robinson, a CBC reporter, whoever.
Like we have communities that are very close to here, very close to Montreal, that are getting a substandard education.
What I would want them to know is our history as Native people, but also that we're moving into this century. Like it's 2015, like we all have Facebook, we all have, we're all into social media.
People are going through to what they're considering grade 10, 11, and they're thinking that they have a good education until they try to get into CEGEP, and then they get this big, oh my God.
We're advancing, we're graduating doctors and lawyers, but even that, our communities are banding together like I don't know more, and we're fighting for the safety of our women.
I have to do what, and all this stuff to catch up. Those two communities have to speak together, and they have to streamline their education systems. They have to, because otherwise they're just going to hit a brick wall, and then what? Then they're just going to have to work in the community, doing whatever jobs are only available in that community. They have no horizons.
Now levels of incarceration, the sheer levels of poverty, all of those things are a very stinging indictment to Canada at this particular juncture to say we could do this better.
Do you think it's important to have public art?
Of course it is.
Why? Talk to me about why is having art in public spaces important?
Graffiti is in the street, so it's like an open gallery to the public, and it's free. I mean, you don't need to get into a gallery and pay a fee or whatever. It's just like, it's free art.
I mean, you're taking dull corners and you're letting it have a life of its own, and also you're getting people who are boxed in the corner and not able to express themselves to be able to show what they're capable of doing.
It's a different interaction, especially in the end, where in gallery people are staring at it and examining it, and the interaction they have is different if they're just walking in the street and they happen to come upon it.
You look at a concrete wall, you look at a beautiful piece of art, what would you prefer looking at?
So people just come and walk by, take pictures, talk to us, and then it's like, there's no political message or anything. It's just like, if you like what I do, then I'll support you, and because you support me, It's it's a give and take situation.
And who knows what they're going through at that time in their day or whatever, and how it affects them. So when you go into a gallery, you're going to look at art. So you're already in that mind frame, which is fine, you know.
Well, the thing is, any artist, why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you love the audience? I think the purest form of interconnectivity between your audience and you is to love them, rather than just use them for a kick.
You have any passions in your life?
About this, about street art. I'm
Yeah.
not entirely sure why, but there's something really beautiful about it, and it kind of brings the community together too.
I think that it's good for the community and like brings many different types of people together.
That's one of the things that drew me to Montreal, actually, was all the murals and everything, like, again, the architecture, combined with all the different art on the walls.
I like the aspect of street art where you go and you just find something by surprise, and it, you know, changes how your day is, or changes your thought patterns, or whatever, you know. It's just different interaction, and I like that a lot.
So yeah, I want people to get the most benefit out of this, and for sure a city street is going to give you the most feedback that you could ask for.
I don't think it's a crime. I think it's a form of expression and freedom for people. You see, like, it helps. It brings everybody together.
I mean, I have mixed feelings about graffiti being illegal, honestly.
And it's not going to go away anytime soon, even though I'm not a massive fan of uglying a place up.
Some of it can obviously be stupid, but it also, it's just really beautiful that people feel that they can express themselves on all different surfaces and mediums, and I don't think there's a problem with it, really.
Facebook is my real issue. Somewhere along the way, I decided to appoint myself Sheriff of Facebook, Guardian of the Book, the epic Facebook trilogy. Part 1, Jess reports spam. Feels productive, like she's doing something for the betterment of the Facebook kingdom. The responsibility is too great. She doesn't want it, but if she doesn't do it, who will? Part 2, Jess notices that the couple that always posted lovey messages and cat videos on each other's walls are living in separate cities. She sends a private message to make sure everything is okay. Part 3, Jess spends the afternoon embroiled in a discussion about the overuse of rape as a comedic device when someone posts that they went to the dentist and it felt like mouth rape. Hey, unless the dentist scraped the plaque off your teeth with his, it's not mouth rape.
I was in Rwanda early this year, and there we skipped the whole phase of dial-ups and phone in the wall. Everybody has their mobile phones and computer, and they're on WhatsApp. They're posting everything that's happening, and the etiquette is very different. There, people pick up the phone and carry on the conversation in the middle of another one.
Maybe it's the human is now doing easy things and getting easier and lazier with time, and everything is getting faster. So
it could ring right now and the people would answer in the middle of an interview. You'll be overwhelmed, and it's not like it's only the youth or the usual suspects who are engaged in this behavior. It's from very respected people to really
grandma
yeah. to anybody on this.
Well, when you see a 4-year-old grab a tablet out of an old man's hand to show him how to use it, you have to realize that something else is happening right now.
What's going to happen?
Good question. I think we have to take our time. I think we need to be zen. We need to relax in life.
And I feel that we haven't gotten here yet.
Right? It's not the kid learning how to change the channel on the TV. It's a fundamentally different way of communicating with something that's integrated itself into our lives, and the younger generation is much better prepared than the older generation. And can you have said that about the radio? Can you have said that about the car? Yeah, but I would still say that an older driver, when the car came out, would be better apt at driving it than a younger person.
And in the city, Montreal's not that bad, but big city usually it's really stressed. People are really, fast, and they always have a list of to-do lists.
Yeah.
So just take it easy and breathe in, breathe out.
Whereas now, I guarantee you that someone my age who took 5 years of whatever they're going through is better versed than anybody else over the age of 40. And that's new.
So I used to carry around a digital camera anyways. So now I don't have to, and that's how I buy my phones, is with the camera.
And so we had our 10-year reunion in 2002. So a couple of years ago we were like, oh, 20 years, but we just never did it because we had Facebook, right? So it's like these people are in our lives, sort of, every day anyways, most of them.
And I document all my art with that. And I have this social network with the street art.
I think that it's taken away to actually really connect and catch up with people on a real basis. Like why have a high school reunion when you could just check how they're doing on Facebook?
I'll put street art up at night, and then the next day I'm seeing them online, and it's a great relationship, and people are seeing it from across the world who'd never see it. So it's definitely different, but I think if you use it in a positive way, it's great.
If I would just say Montreal, what comes into your mind?
Art, definitely. The street art in Montreal is incredible. I have two friends who started a street art clothing company too, so from that I've really gotten to look around and kind of notice it more, which I've really appreciated.
Why do you come to Montreal?
Well, at first, when I came here for the first time, it was for Under Pressure, so same event as today, but 16 years ago. And ever since, I just kept on coming back because, I don't know, the city is cool, the vibe is all right, and the scene is growing and growing, and it's like the atmosphere here in Montreal is very welcoming.
Montreal's always had amazing music, but it's existed in pockets. But back when I started doing music, you sort of generally didn't want to tell people that you were from Montreal. It wasn't a badge of sort of pride, and it didn't give you cred as it does now.
I'm in charge of the programming of a festival, Nuit d'Afrique Festival. Montreal has so many culture and communities, so we discover all along year many groups, and they are very, very good.
Because I was in and out, I wouldn't say I was integrated, and so since I've been back, I've just felt this need and desire to get more involved. And
so this is for the world music scene, but about rock, indie music, it's also very, very developed. So I think Montreal is it's a vibrant city for the music. Yeah.
I have to leave here and go elsewhere so that I could come back and realize that. But I'm glad that I did, because it's a very special town to make art in, to be creative in.
Yeah, as I said, it's all about community, especially in the hip-hop community. There's not only graffiti writers, but there's b-boys, MCs, DJs, and everybody's around and just bond with each other and then link and network.
I think that's something that's really unique about Montreal, is that there is this creative force that kind of embodies this creative force, right? There's always creativity and art happening, and it's celebrated, I think.
There's tons of things going on in Montreal, so much culture, so many musicians coming through, so many festivals. There's just always something going on. It's just such an exciting city. So it's definitely probably, no, it's definitely the most exciting city I've lived in. Like there's always something going on, which is super fun.
You know, just looking at our summers and the different festivals that happen throughout the summer, it is something that is encouraged and celebrated, and this kind of an event like Under Pressure gives exposure to a side of art that most people won't usually see.
It's the last Bohemia. It's the last place you can afford to be an artist and have a place, a studio. You can't do that anywhere else, really. You know, you can get a studio and have an apartment and still afford to live.
I think our city should be promoted abroad and forget all this trying to sell art to our friends here. It's like being in a wine region. People in a wine region don't buy wine. All their friends own wine. They don't need it. We need it on the tables of Paris and London, the people with cash.
As opposed to New York, San Francisco, Boston, Montreal and Berlin are the last places you can do that. You can't do that anywhere else.
That wraps up another edition of The Street Speaks. Thank you, Montrealers, for sharing, and thank you for watching. A special thank you to Jess Solomon, who graced our Street Speaks soapbox this week, and to our house band, Skinny Bros. Our hashtag is StreetSpeaks514, and if you want to get in touch with me, please don't be shy. I can be reached very easily, and I'll be filming again very, very soon. You can contact me at thestreetspeaks514@gmail.com, and I will reply. Also, join me next week as Montrealers are speaking out about that je ne sais quoi that makes Montreal so unique. They're ranting about current austerity measures, and they're even sharing stories of loss with me that most of you can probably identify with. Also, local actor and writer Michael Hughes of the comedy troupe Uncalled For takes to the Street Speak soapbox with a riveting rant. See you next time.
My name is Timothy Armstrong from the Broken Head Ojibwe Nation, and you're watching Street Speaks.